You know, there are moments in life, especially after we turn 50, 60, when everything begins to slow down just a little. And strangely, it's within that slowness that we start to hear things we've been missing for years. When we pause long enough just to breathe, simply to breathe, life begins to reveal itself in ways we were once too busy to notice. I want you to imagine this for a moment. It's early morning, you're sitting by the window, a soft light touches your hand, you take a deep breath, and for the first time in a long while, you can feel yourself truly here. Not rushing, not chasing a to-do list, just present. Have you ever felt that way? That sense of calm that comes from nothing more than a single mindful breath. Many people tell me that growing older makes it harder to keep up with life's momentum, but the truth is simpler. Sometimes we don't need to keep up at all. Sometimes all we need is a small pause to look inward again. In psychology, they call this a micro-recovery moment. Just a few seconds or one quiet minute is enough for the parasympathetic nervous system to activate and bring the body back to balance. Said in a more human way, when you breathe slowly and deeply, your body gently whispers, "You're safe." You don't have to hurry anymore. I once met a 67-year-old woman named Linda. She told me she had spent her whole life running for her children, her job, her endless responsibilities. When she retired, she felt like she was standing in the middle of a desert, unsure where to go next. Then one day, she simply sat down and breathed, really breathed, and she told me, "I never realized a single breath could help me see my life so clearly." A breath won't solve every problem, but it opens a space within us, a space wide enough to see things with more clarity. And when we see clearly, we live more gently. So if you're watching this right now, I want you to try something small with me. Right here, right now. Just take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. Feel the softening in your shoulders and your chest. You're still here. Life is still here. And sometimes one slow breath is all it takes to begin again. True happiness lies in our ability to be present, not running from the past and not chasing after the future. And I know that's easier said than done, especially after 60 when we've lived through so many joys and losses, and the mind sometimes wanders back to what could have been, or forward to what we fear might come. But presence isn't about forcing the mind to be still. It's about gently returning to ourselves again and again, the same way you would guide a grandchild back to the sidewalk when they start to wander into the street. Softly, patiently, with love. I want you to picture this. You're sitting on your porch, a cup of warm tea in your hands. The world is quiet. Maybe a bird calls from a tree nearby. For a brief moment, there's nothing to fix, nothing to prove. You're just here, completely here. And in that simple moment, life feels whole again. Have you ever noticed how the mind calms down when the body feels safe? Neuroscience explains this beautifully when we anchor ourselves in the present. Through breath, through touch, through awareness, the brain reduces its threat signals. Stress softens, the heart slows, the mind clears. Over the years working with people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, I've seen one truth repeat itself. The more present someone becomes, the more peaceful their life grows. Not because problems disappear, but because presence gives us the clarity to face them without fear. A man named Robert once told me, "When I stopped chasing tomorrow, I finally had time to enjoy today." That's the quiet wisdom of age, realizing that the present moment is not just enough, it's all we ever truly have. So as you listen to this, maybe place a hand on your chest, feel the rise and fall of your breath, and know that right now, in this very second, Nothing is missing. Nothing is required. You are here. And that is enough. Many beautiful things in life come to us only when we stop desperately holding on or chasing after them with trembling hands. I have seen this truth unfold again and again in my own life, in the lives of my students, and in the quiet stories shared by people who wrote to me after watching these videos. There's a certain exhaustion that comes from decades of trying to control everything. Relationships, outcomes, timing, even the behavior of others. And the more tightly we grip, the more life seems to slip through our fingers. Have you felt that? That strange tension of wanting something so badly that it actually moves farther away? I once worked with a man named Samuel, 22 years old. He told me he spent half his life trying to force life into cooperating. But it wasn't until he finally let go, let his children live their own path, let his expectations soften, let time unfold at its own pace, that everything began to fall into place. He smiled and said, "Maybe blessings don't like to be chased. Maybe they prefer to be welcomed." Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means loosening the tangled knots inside your chest so life has space to flow again. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. But rest your hand gently and the sand settles naturally. There's a spiritual law at work here, one I've seen repeated in both psychology and mindfulness traditions. When the mind relaxes its grasp, the heart becomes open enough to receive. Love comes easier. Peace comes quietly. Opportunities show up in unexpected ways. Even healing begins the kind you can't rush, the kind that only arrives when you stop demanding that it come faster. So if you feel tired from chasing, if you feel drained from trying to keep everything from falling apart, try this. Let one thing go today. Just one. Let life breathe on its own for a moment. Sometimes the moment we stop running toward what we want is exactly when it starts walking toward us. After 60, many people discover a new kind of clarity. A soft, honest light shining on things we once carried without question. We begin to realize that we've been holding burdens that were never really ours to hold. Expectations passed down from family, old regrets we nurtured like unwanted plants, responsibilities we picked up out of habit, not choice. It's almost like walking through your home one day and noticing a heavy box sitting in the corner. You don't remember when you placed it there, maybe years ago. But you kept walking around it, dusting it, pretending it belonged. Then suddenly, at this stage of life, you finally ask, why am I still carrying this? I once spoke with a woman named Carol, 68. For decades, she felt responsible for everyone's happiness, her children, her aging parents, even her neighbors. She told me, every time someone suffered, I felt like I had failed. But as she grew older, something shifted. One morning, she looked in the mirror and saw the exhaustion in her own eyes. That was the moment she realized not all pain is ours to solve, and not all expectations are ours to meet. We spend a lifetime trying to be the strong one, the reliable one, the one who holds everything together. But after 60, the soul begins to whisper a different truth. You've done enough. You've carried enough. It's time to come home to yourself. This clarity isn't dramatic. It doesn't arrive like lightning. It comes gently like a quiet sunrise behind a mountain, illuminating parts of our life we were too busy or too afraid to notice before. And once we see it, we can't unsee it. You may begin to realize that some of the guilt you've carried never belonged to you. Some of the fears were inherited, not earned. Some of the roles you played were necessary then, but not anymore. And there is a deep relief in finally putting the box down, in allowing yourself to breathe without the weight of expectations pressing on your chest. Because this stage of life isn't about proving anything. It's about releasing what no longer serves you and remembering who you truly are beneath all those layers. Perhaps this is the quiet gift of age, the wisdom to stop carrying what was never ours and the courage to walk lighter into the years ahead. Letting go doesn't make us weaker. In fact, it's what makes us lighter and freer. Many people misunderstand this. They think holding on is a sign of strength, that endurance, persistence, and sheer willpower are proof of courage. But sometimes the real courage is in unclenching the fist, in loosening the heart's grip, in saying, I don't need to carry this anymore. When I was younger, I believed that resilience meant pushing through everything. But the older I get and the more elders I sit with, the more I realize that wisdom often looks like softness, like the ability to release what hurts you even if you've held it for years. A man named Thomas, 74, once told me a story I never forgot. For decades, he held on to resentment toward his brother after an old family argument. He said the anger felt like armor protecting him from being hurt again. But as the years passed, that armor became heavier than the wound itself. One day, he simply grew tired of the bitterness, tired of the story, tired of waking up with a weight on his chest that didn't belong there anymore. He told me letting go wasn't surrender. It was the first breath I'd taken in years. When we let go, we reclaim space inside ourselves. Space for joy, for peace, for quiet mornings that don't carry yesterday's shadows. We begin to move through life with a kind of softness that only age can teach. A softness that says, I can release what is over. I can bless what is past. I can walk forward without fear. There is nothing weak about that. In fact, it requires more maturity, more self-awareness, more spiritual strength than clinging ever did. Because holding on is automatic, but letting go is conscious. It is a choice. So if you feel the weight of old stories, old hurts, old expectations pressing on you, imagine setting them down just for a moment. Imagine what your life would feel like if your heart were a little lighter, your breath a little deeper, your steps a little freer. Letting go doesn't diminish you. It returns you to yourself. And there is nothing stronger or more beautiful than that. When we finally accept that the body is aging, a quiet kind of gratitude begins to bloom inside us, not the loud celebratory kind of gratitude people post about online, but a humble, grounded appreciation that comes from truly seeing life as it is. For so many years we fight against time. We look in the mirror and search for the youth we once had. We compare ourselves to who we were at 30 or 40 or even 50. And in that comparison, we forget something important. This body has carried us through decades. It has survived heartbreak, illness, hard work, sleepless nights, and countless responsibilities. It has held our children, supported our dreams, and carried our fears. I once spoke with an older gentleman named Howard, 76. He told me that every morning he looks at his hands before anything else. He said, "These hands don't look the way they used to, but they've built a life. They've held the people I've loved. They've wiped tears, offered support, cooked meals, repaired mistakes. How can I be ungrateful for that?" There was a wisdom in his voice, the kind that only comes from someone who has stopped fighting the inevitable and started honoring the truth. When we accept aging, the heart softens. Instead of judging the body, we begin to thank it. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you for healing again and again. Thank you for giving me another morning, another breath, another chance. Psychologists say that acceptance reduces the brain's stress response. But spiritually, acceptance does something even deeper. It reconnects us with the miracle of simply being alive. You start to notice small things, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the steady rhythm of your breath, the strength in your legs even if they move slower than before. And gratitude becomes effortless, natural, like a flower that opens on its own at sunrise. Because when we honor the truth of our aging body, we also honor the life that has passed through it. Every chapter, every lesson, every blessing. Acceptance isn't giving up, it's waking up. And in that awakening, gratitude finds a way to gently fill the heart again. Suffering arises from clinging. The tighter we hold on, the more we hurt ourselves. It's a truth that appears again and again in both philosophy and everyday life. And yet for most of our years, we cling without even realizing we're doing it. We cling to people we love, to roles we've played, to identities we've outgrown, to memories that cannot be changed. Have you ever held on to something so tightly, a relationship, a belief, a dream, that it started to feel like a knot inside your chest? Most of us have. And that knot doesn't loosen by force. It loosens when we stop fighting with what is. I once met a woman named Eleanor, 71. She had lost her husband 7 years earlier, but she told me she still lived as if he might walk through the door at any moment. She kept his things exactly where they were, replayed old conversations in her mind, tried to keep the past alive because she was terrified of letting it go. One day she said she felt as though she was gripping a rope that was slowly burning her hands. The more she held on, the deeper the pain grew. But when she finally allowed herself to loosen her grip just a little, something miraculous happened. Space opened inside her, not a space of forgetting, but of healing. Clinging creates friction. It creates tension. It is the mind's attempt to control what the heart is afraid to accept. And the older we become, the more we learn that life cannot be gripped into obedience. There's a gentle wisdom in releasing the illusion of control. When our hands soften, when the heart stops, demanding that life return to what it was, we begin to feel peace again. A peace that doesn't require perfection, only honesty. Imagine holding a bird in your palm. If you squeeze, you harm it. But if you open your hand, the bird relaxes, and sometimes it even chooses to stay. Life is the same, love is the same, peace is the same. Suffering doesn't come from what happens to us. It comes from the tension of refusing to let life move as it must. And when we stop clinging, the heart finally has room to breathe again. The greatest peace we will ever know arrives when we finally stop trying to control every outcome. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because we become gentler, wiser, and far more accepting of the truth that life was never ours to command in the first place. You know, in my 30s and 40s, I thought being strong meant having a plan for everything, knowing where my career would go, how my family should turn out, what my future should look like. And honestly, I believe that if I just tried hard enough, if I pushed with enough force or discipline or sacrifice, I could bend life into whatever shape I wanted. Back then, I clung to control the way a sailor clings to a rope in a storm. But somewhere after 60, something shifts. Quietly. Almost invisibly. It's like walking onto your porch at dawn and realizing the world is moving with or without your permission. The sun rising, the birds beginning their morning calls, the wind brushing through the trees. Life has its own rhythm, its own intelligence, its own timing. And whether we fight it or surrender to it, life keeps moving anyway. I often ask my viewers, Has there ever been a moment in your life when things turned out completely different from what you planned, yet somehow it became exactly what you needed? Most people nod even through the screen, because life rarely follows our script. And sometimes that is the greatest blessing. I once worked with a man named Peter, 67 years old. He was a retired engineer, brilliant, disciplined, organized down to the second. He told me he lived his whole life with a mental checklist: achieve this, save that, fix this, plan for that. But when he reached retirement, everything he had tried to control began slipping through his fingers. His adult children made choices he disagreed with. His health shifted unpredictably. Even his daily routine refused to stay stable. He felt lost, not because things were going wrong, but because he couldn't force them to go right. One afternoon, while sitting across from me, he said, "I spent so many years trying to control life that I forgot how to live it." And that sentence stayed with me, because control is exhausting. It keeps the mind tight. It keeps the heart on edge. It turns every minor inconvenience into a threat, and every unexpected change into a failure. But when Peter finally allowed life to unfold, not perfectly, not neatly, but honestly, something remarkable happened. His relationship with his children softened. His marriage warmed. He began to enjoy the small things: morning coffee, slow walks, the sound of his wife humming in the kitchen. He said, "It's like I traded tension for presence, and that is the shift that brings peace." You see, trying to control everything is like trying to hold back the tide with your bare hands. The waves keep coming no matter how strong you are or how much willpower you have. But if you step back, let the water move as it must, and simply stand with it, suddenly the ocean becomes less of an enemy and more of a companion. I've spent decades talking with people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and one truth has become unmistakably clear. The people who are happiest are not the ones with the most control, but the ones who have learned to let go of it. They stop insisting that their children follow a precise path. They stop fighting the natural changes of aging. They stop demanding that life unfold on their preferred schedule. They breathe, they allow, they accept. And in that acceptance, they discover a peace that younger people rarely understand. A peace rooted not in certainty, but in trust. Trust that life has carried them this far and will carry them further. Trust that not every unanswered question needs an immediate solution. Trust that they have enough resilience, enough wisdom, enough heart to meet whatever comes. You know, one of the hardest lessons we learn with age is this: we were never meant to control everything. We were meant to respond to life, not dominate it. There's a beautiful Buddhist teaching that says, trying to control life is like trying to straighten a river. You might change a few small currents, but the river always finds its natural course. The same is true with aging, with relationships, with the future. We can influence life, yes, but total control is an illusion. And when we let go of that illusion, something profound happens. We open ourselves to possibilities we couldn't imagine. We stop resisting the present moment. We stop punishing ourselves for things that never belonged to us in the first place. I remember meeting a widow named Margaret, 73. For years after her husband passed, she tried to control every detail of her life: her diet, her health, her finances, her schedule. She filled her days with tasks so she wouldn't have to feel grief. But grief doesn't disappear because we try to manage it. It softens when we let it breathe. One morning she told me she sat on her bed and whispered, "I can't manage this anymore." And for the first time in years, she cried not the controlled, silent tears she had allowed before, but deep, honest, releasing tears. And afterward, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. Not because the pain was gone, but because she finally allowed life to move through her instead of trying to contain it. Control is a cage. Surrender is a key. And I know the word surrender can sound like defeat, but spiritual surrender isn't giving up, it's opening up. It's saying, I'll do my part and I'll let life handle the rest. It's wisdom, not weakness. Maturity, not passivity. When we stop controlling, we start noticing. We notice the softness in someone's voice when they're trying to comfort us. We notice the kindness of a stranger at the grocery store. We notice the miracle of our own breath, steady, faithful, carrying us moment by moment. We notice life. And life, when we finally pay attention, is far more generous than we ever gave it credit for. If you're watching this right now, I want you to ask yourself something gently without judgment. What are you still trying to control? Whose choices, whose emotions, whose outcomes are you still gripping with tired hands? And then, ask yourself this. What would your life feel like if you loosened your grip by just 5%, not all at once, not dramatically, just a little space, a little trust, a little softness? Peace doesn't come when everything is perfect. Peace comes when you stop insisting that everything should be. Life unfolds on its own, beautifully, mysteriously, imperfectly. And when you step back, breathe, and let it lead for a while, you may discover that the path ahead is far gentler than the one you were trying so hard to carve. The greatest peace arrives not when we control life, but when we let life finally hold us. If today's reflection resonates with you, you're welcome to support the channel by liking, sharing, or subscribing. Each small action you take is a source of energy that helps me continue creating mindful content for the @Buddha Essence Wisdom community.